Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for giving up your time this afternoon to spend some time with the gentleman up the front here. Would very much like to extend our appreciation for coming along and having a chat to us this afternoon. For those who do not know or do somehow living under a rock at the moment, the Ashes are on. To my English friends, we aren't friends until probably about mid-January, but that's okay. But we've got the second test kicking off at the Gabba on Thursday afternoon, so an exciting time in Brisbane. Just about every conversation that I have, whether it's at work or at home, seems to be about the cricket, so it's a good time of year. Welcome to those who are online. Lucky for you, you don't have to see my face, so that's perfect. All right, up the front, we have the match referee for the test match, Ranjan Madugalle. Welcome, Ranjan. Welcome back. You were with us this time last year. Next to him, Nitin Menon from India. Welcome. First time to... No, it would be your first time to Brisbane. No. Welcome back. Next to him, Adrian Holdstock from South Africa. Welcome. And last but certainly not least, Saikat from Bangladesh. Welcome, Saikat. The only person missing from the team, for those who can't count, we've only got 4, not 5. Phil Gillespie will be the 4th umpire for this test match. And we look forward to catching up with him at some point soon. So I thought we'd kick things off. We don't have a microphone to pass around, but we do have a trusty speaker for the boys and girls that are online. Thought we might go down the line here. Quick introduction. Obviously, everyone knows your name now and where you're from. But perhaps umpire journey and what it's taken for you to get to the elite panel. So, Nitin, I might pass to you first and see how we go.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I started umpiring for the BCCI in 2006 and then gradually promoted to IPL and then the international panel in 2016. I was inducted in the elite panel in 2020 during the COVID. So the first couple of years for me was just umpiring in India test matches because during COVID we were not allowed to go outside. And then this is my second Ashes. The first Ashes was in 2023 in England. So, and myself, Adrian and Saikat were here in 2023 when West Indies beat Australia in the day-night test. So we are back again. Hopefully the result changes. Let's see. And thank you. And looking forward for this.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My umpiring journey started in about 2005. I was first coach within the Cricket South Africa system, and then they asked me as a former first-class player to get involved in umpiring. Thought about it, and probably was one of the better decisions that I took. Got onto our first-class panel in about 2008, 2009 season. Got onto the international panel in South Africa in 2013, I think. Was on the international panel for about 6 or 7 years. During the COVID, that's when the international umpires got the opportunity to do test cricket. So my first test was during COVID in December of 2020, South Africa versus Sri Lanka. And then, like I say, got on to the elite panel in 2023. And like I said, been there for about 3 years now and really enjoying the experience.
Hi, everyone. I started a little bit early as an umpire. I actually playing cricket, but I had to quit after representing Bangladesh. I wanted to be an international player, but I represent my country, but could not become an international player. So, but due to my back injury, that forced me to leave cricket. So, but I wanted to be part of cricket. So I chose to become an umpire. I thought it was an easy job. At that time, initially, I thought of becoming a coach. Then I thought umpiring would be easier because not that physical job. So I started in 2020, 2000 at the year of same year, but I quit cricket in 2006. 2003 or 4. Then I became a first-class umpire in 2006-7, become an international panel umpire in 2009, and I'm probably the longest-serving international panel umpire who become elite umpire after serving 14 years at that stage. So at one stage, I thought it would not happen probably for me, but the COVID, that brought us luck for some of us, and it happened same for me because I become an elite test umpire, which I wanted to be actually. So that is good that I become an test umpire in 2021 during the COVID, and then I become an elite umpire in 2024. This is my second year in the elite panel, and second time in Brisbane, as Nitin mentioned, that was my first test overseas, and this is my first Ashes. On field starting tomorrow.
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. Yeah.
We have a final tomorrow.
I'll get you guys to hold on to it. Might pass it to Ranjan. Obviously, not umpiring, but maybe a bit about your journey to becoming a match referee.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting us to be here to share views both ways. Before I start about my little journey, I'll talk about Nitin. Nitin claims to be an elite umpire, but his father has a umpire's room named after him in his city of Indo, Narendra Menon umpire's room. So Nitin has a long way to go to take that name board out, and he's trying to do that on a regular basis to repaint it, but I don't think he's succeeded. But great to be here with all of you all with some known faces. I don't want to jog back too long because some of you might wonder how old I am, but I became an elite referee in the year 2000. This is my 25th year of refereeing. My background was as a player, but when we started playing in the good old days, we were not professional players. We were semi-professional. So I was gainfully employed. I was a marketing guy by profession. I used to go to play test cricket. And in the good old days, we had a rest day. And my boss eagerly awaited my arrival on a rest day so that he can palm off half the files. But then rest days became a thing of the past. And then I was working for 18 years and in the corporate world. And then for some strange reason, who was it? David Richards, who was the CEO of Cricket Australia, became the CEO of the ICC. And I got a call from him and he said, we are trialing this concept of match referees. We've had match referees, but we want a younger breed of match referees to come along. Would you like to do some refereeing? So I said, what is the job role? What's the profile? All that. And he said, we're trying to figure it out. So that's how the concept of refereeing started. But what I did was he offered me a window of 2.5 weeks when I took annual leave from my employer and did my first test series in Pakistan. And that's how the journey started. It's been a long one. It's been an evolving one. And the nature of it has completely changed from the time that we used to carry big pilot bags with that amount of paperwork. And I remember in certain countries, you had to get up early to go to a telecommunication center to send faxed reports through to our office in London and Dubai. And from there now, everything is at your fingertips. So it's been a really rewarding journey. And I think the greatest factor is working with people. The fact that I'm here with 3 of my colleagues, I enjoy their company and we learn from each other. We feed off each other because one man alone can't really have a great game. If everyone has a good game, then the PCT has a good game. The other thing is that over the journey of 25 years, I've seen cricket change from red ball cricket with white clothes to the multi-format game it is now. Test on Thursday is a day-night test match. Saikat will turn up tomorrow for that match, but we'll all turn up on Thursday. So and then you see the T20 game, and you see batsmen hitting reverse sweeps in a test match. Things like that, which if we had done it at 18 years as a schoolboy, our coach should have told us which gate we want to go out from. So it's that. And I mean, cricket is like any other business. If you don't evolve, you're left behind. And in today's world, If you stand still, you're still left behind. So that's what it is. Some are purists, some may like it, some may not, but that's the nature of the being we are in. So that's how it is. So role of the referee was the same. It's changed from being a disciplinarian, a principal, to a more man manager, communicator kind of role. So yeah, that's what it is.
Perfect. I guess probably to start off with, and we know that you guys spend long periods of time away from home as part of a job, and given that the first test ended in 2 days, had a few extra days off to spend both in Perth and up here in Brisbane. What do you guys do in between tests or to blow off some steam between games?
He does.
As you said, the first test finished in 2 days, and then there was a long gap. So unfortunately, I'm staying back for the third test. So I don't want this test match to finish early because another 10 days for me. So I mean, basically, as Ranjan just said, that we are a PCT. We have to stay together as a team. So we have a lot of chat. And Saikat is very fond of shopping. He loves Australia. Ranjan likes his coffee. He goes out, have a couple of coffees every day. But myself and Adrian, we just chat, nothing else to do. But the gelling together is very important as a PCT. And sometimes this off time from the games has really helped us to understand each other, to know each other, because when we are on the field, we need to know what is his strength, what is his weakness, or how we can manage a game best. So that important factor is that we spend a lot of time together as a PCT rather than just sit in our rooms or we be alone somewhere. So I mean, I'm sure that all of you here have worked with each other, but you need to understand what your partner is, what is his character, what is his weakness, what is his strength. So that ultimately brings the best out of the PCT in a game.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Nitin's touched on a lot of points there. I think we're all different. We all react differently to situations and stuff like that. I'm not a big touristy type of person, so therefore, here in Brisbane, into the city, maybe having lunches with one another and those type of things. I think the important thing about PCTs that you're with around the world, that everybody has different cultures and stuff, and I think you need to respect that. You cannot enforce people to do things that you might want to do, whatever the case may be. But we do generally tend to, the three of us, we sort of late risers, I think. So we go to breakfast quite late. We're about 2 minutes basically just before the kitchen shuts, we're there. Sometimes we're 2 minutes past, and I won't even eat breakfast. And then, like I said, we'll sit there for about an hour and a half and we'll just chat, and catch up if we haven't seen each other during the course of the day. And then, like I say, we'll go into the city and maybe do a little bit of shopping. Some do a little bit more than others. But like I say, it's just to enjoy one another's company, because at the end of the day, you have to be strong together, because when the game takes place, then the pressure's really on you. So it's important just to relax, do whatever you feel is going to get you in your best frame of mind going into that test match, and not try to force people to do things they don't really want to do. And I think with this PCT, because we've been together once before, the three of us here 2 years back with the West Indies series, we got on well together. And I think that's the important thing, when you actually have a lot of time or downtime. But like I say, we've also been trying to go to net sessions and stuff like that. But that's where we're going to go straight after this meeting, to a net session, just to go see the pink ball under lights. So, yeah, I'll give it to my friend here who's a shopaholic.
Thank you, Adrian. I mean, everything they have covered, actually, nothing much to add on this. But as Nitin and Adrian said, that I think this gap actually quite unusual for me, actually. I didn't have that much of time. So we know 3 of us or 4 of us, we are together, as you mentioned, every day we have our breakfast at least together. We are adults, so we enjoy each other's company. At the same time, we know that we have to give the space to everyone. So that 10, 12 long days was not that easy, but we have to do, that little bit workouts there to keep ourselves fit, but we are, not within the game, but now we started regrouping as we are attending here tonight. We are going to, attend the next sessions, and this is actually all what we do. And fortunately, I have some relatives here in Brisbane, in Perth, both venues. My wife studies here for 12 years. So, and I have a little bit of ties with this city, actually. So that's good for me. And hopefully Nitin will enjoy the next break as well. Thank you.
It's good that we're getting back, because most of the rest of the questions I have are actually about cricket, so that's pretty handy. The first question we have here, and we're going to go into preparation and how you guys prepare for a game or for a series. And Ranjan, this might be one in your remit as a match referee. One of our umpires has asked, so before each match, he goes and talks to the captains around his expectations on playing conditions and player behaviour. Does that sort of thing occur at the international level, and how does that sort of get managed or communicated? Is it prior to a match or prior to a series? How does that sort of look?
I think in any level of cricket, I think there is the preparation part. But in terms of team meetings, because the test sides, you do meetings with them regularly. Because throughout a year, I would now cover Australia 3 times, England maybe twice, then we have Champions Trophy. So what you don't want to do is to have an overkill. So what we do is maybe 2-3 weeks before a series starts, Cricket Australia in this instance sends me the playing conditions to everything related to the series. What we do is then we'll put a briefing note together and share it with the umpires. They'll add on their things. And in that, we will cover the main points, the salient points of the series, from start, finish times to this, to expectations, to any new regulations that are there. And then we send it out to the managers. And we ask them when they would like to meet. Sometimes they'll say, we need to clarify this or that. And then we will meet them at a practice session. And it'll always be what we believe the best comes out in an informal session than have formal meetings, because then they tend to be a little apprehensive in raising questions. So that's how it is done. So in that, if we have had issues with, say, player behavior, we may touch on it rather than saying you can't do this or you can't. We say we expect the game to be played hard, but in the best spirit, it is intended to be played. So that, in a sense, conveys the message rather than go hammer and tongs, this is not good. Or say, for example, the over rates have not been too good in the last series or the last 2 test matches. We may then touch on it as a point and say, guys, you have had your feedback on the over rates. We need to focus on this. Or like scuffing a ball or some things like that. So what we do is we pick out what we think are the important points and then touch on it rather than go through everything and, just bore them to death. Because at the end of the day, they're professionals. They know what it is. They get all the playing conditions through us. And if they have questions, they will ask rather than say, we are meeting today at 10. This is it, boys. This is what it needs. Maybe at a different level, it's different. Maybe when the new playing conditions come or is there a law change, we may then sit through, have a PowerPoint presentation or something like that, especially like the boundary line catch switches changed. Rather than, send an explanatory note, we might actually do a audiovisual presentation. So again, it is what we tend to do is cover all bases, but not in a very like a teacher-student relationship kind of environment, because that we find is actually detrimental to a good understanding between teams and between us. We consider ourselves the third team. Yes, we have battles with them sometimes, but we try to build respect and try to get them to also give us the same level of respect, and respect comes through performance, nothing else. So that's how we would look at it. Sorry. It was not elongated.
It's all good.
So preparations for us as umpires, obviously, again, we have a good chat before the series start. What are the expectations? What are the standards that we need to set early on? Because whatever standards we are setting before the first test, it's going to carry on for the remaining 4 tests as well. So having a good communication between the PCT is very important. And obviously, as these guys are saying that they are going to stand in the practice sessions of the teams, not only to get the eyes in, but it's a very good way to communicate with the players. It's an unofficial, or you can say it's the right place to build rapport with the players, have a chat with them, especially the captains, or break the ice, whatever it is. So I think practice sessions are very important for umpires, not only to get your eyes in, but to have that relationship with the players. So, I mean, these are a few things that we do generally before a big series. I'm sure Adrian and Saikat will throw some more light on that.
I think Nitin's just touched on the preparation while you're in Australia, before the first test and maybe before Brisbane Test, whatever. But I think the preparation starts quite a long time before that as well. In the sense that when you get your appointment, you're going to be going to do an Ashes series in Australia, whatever the case may be. You're really sort of looking at what could come your way in these type of series. You're looking at the type of players that you might have to umpire and stuff. So you basically getting all that information. What I'll do is that if I'm not involved in a series in Australia, possibly playing somebody, I'll just go look on TV at home and I'll just have a look at batsmen's techniques, see how they're basically moving across creases. It's just little things like that, bowlers, just to get yourself a picture in your mind that when you actually go to a net session, it's really sort of somewhere there that it comes to the forefront a lot quicker. And so when you're at that net session, you then sort of bring that information to the fore and then making sure that's set in you as an umpire, because when you're out in the middle, hopefully that just comes naturally to you. You don't have to start thinking about things because you've really processed a lot of these things too. So I think all of us do that type of preparation anyway. And like Nitin said, that when you're here in the actual series itself, it's just to make sure that whatever you feel comfortable with, go out and do it. So what he might want to prepare might be slightly different to me. Doesn't mean that he or my way of doing things is right or wrong. It's just how you feel that you need to get yourself in that position when you walk over the boundary on the first day of the test match. So everybody's different. And like I said, we similar in a lot of ways, but like I said, just be yourself and, don't try to sort of overthink things.
That if you are not prepared well, or if you are not prepared to win, you are prepared to lose. So, the preparation is king. So we have to take, proper preparation that starts way early. It's not that when we arrive in Brisbane or in Australia, because from the part of the world I have come from, the ball keeps low and slow, turning. So here, pitches conditions are different. And as Adrian mentioned, that I like to watch a lot of videos. Actually, I'd like to get this as much of information as can be possible about the players, the ground, or the pitch, or weather, or even the city, the geographical areas as well. So that is what I do. And as I told you, the preparation starts way early. Playing conditions is different. Weather condition in Perth, it was quite cold. Here it's a hot summer. So that is what we have to prepare within ourselves, that we have to make that adjustments. And as we are now here, we are heading towards the match. We are going to go to the net sessions, because just watching the videos on YouTube or from other sources not always help. Batters techniques, if we attend the nets, that gives me a lot of confidence actually. So that is how I do take my preparations before any match.
Perfect. That's some really good insight there. Might talk about day one. And probably leading on from preparation, what does day one look like in terms of what time you get to the ground and that preparation look like? It's obviously a little bit more chaotic than the other days, generally speaking, but what does that sort of look like for you guys?
Okay, well, generally from a PCT point of view, it also depends on the match referee, of course, but normally about an hour and a half before the actual first day's play, we'll get to the ground. For me personally, leading up to, I'm a person that I try to keep my space nice and clear. I try to sort of make sure that when I wake up in the morning, I wake up as late as possible. I'm not a big early riser. I just try to just mentally get myself in the right frame of mind. Just making sure that you're running through things that basically, when you get onto the field of play, like I said earlier, everything comes into the forefront of your thought process. Like I said, leading into a test match, you might get one or two butterflies, but like I said, somewhere else is that once you sort of cross that boundary rope on day one, that journey tends to sort of abate quite quickly. And then you get yourself into that sort of space as an umpire, and then you're in that moment. And the nerves, whatever that you might have had a little bit before, sort of dissipate quite quickly. So like I said, for me personally, I just keep space nice and clear. Don't bring too many distractions. Don't worry about what could happen here, whatever. Just go out there and just say to yourself, take one ball at a time and focus on that particular ball and do the best you can do on that particular delivery. And hopefully that sort of carries you through the match. So the others can basically add on if they want to.
So basically, what Adrian has said about when we are as on-field umpires, but now our roles have reversed. Now I'm a third umpire for the next game. So the plan is when we reach the ground, Bruce Oxenford, he's our umpire coach for this game. So I will have a couple of sessions with him before the start of the game. He will go through some DRS clips for me because this is the first time that I'm working with RTS in a test match. All these years we were working with Ultra Edge, so which is slightly different technology compared to RTS. So I'll have some sessions with Bruce before the game, which is basically because third umpiring we are not doing it regularly. We generally do more on-field games compared to third umpiring. So third umpiring is not natural to an umpire because we, as I said, that in a year maybe we do a couple of test matches as third umpire, but more time on the field of play. So that preparation before the game for me as a third umpire will be very important, just to get into the rhythm, what to speak, what to look at how to look at things. So this is how I'm sure as third umpires we are going to prepare whoever it is in the next test matches as well. So there's slightly different how we do it as when we are on field, how we are as a TV umpire, because now it's not just about how good we are as an on-field umpire. Now the scope has increased in the last few years because of the technology. Now third umpiring is also a very big and important part of our job. So we have to be ready for that as well.
Ranjan, just get a coffee day one, mate, and sit back and relax, or?
Yeah, spot on, Nathan. So my preparation for coffee starts the day before. That's really tomorrow. We go for our venue meeting, which will be at 11. So we have a series of meetings leading up to day one, which starts with an on-field meeting with all the stakeholders run by Cricket Australia. So they'll go through the advertising protocols, the anthem protocols, to the ground watering plans, to, name whatever it is, finish the cricket and other related parts. Then we'll also check on the security aspects and also what the food menu is going to be over the 5 days, because we do come from different cultures and different food habits. And it's really important to ensure that when Adrian comes, he has a vegetarian meal or whatever, because he won't eat that. So we have to go through different menus, and that, as a ref, I take responsibility to check all those things, because the idea is my job is to ensure that they are comfortable. So we would go into that detail. But on match day, I would get up, and obviously you'll have butterflies. The day I don't have butterflies in my stomach, that means something's not right, because you may have played 100 test matches or 2 test matches. You still go through what we call visualization, what to do, what not to do. So by lunchtime on match day -1, I've done the preparatory part of it. Then on match day, we want to go nice and early, not get rushed, all that. And then we have certain things to go. Part of that is to go through medical briefings and whatever, if something has happened, they'll do all that before the first half an hour. Then the all-important toss. So these guys will laugh because I'm an old guy. They remind me whether I have done my hamstring stretches, calf stretches, all that, because when I go to pick the coin, they don't want me to fall flat. So I tell them that I do all that. And then we prepare for whatever the anthems are. And then ball one starts. I just wait for the ball one to start, because like everyone, then immediately your focus and your routine start kicking in. So till that first ball is bowled, you have a bit of nerves and you want it to be done with. So it's just simply going through what we know best, through visualization, what to expect, cover bases, because something will happen which you are not prepared for, that you can't help. But what you don't want to happen is not be prepared to face something that you should have covered. So you do all that before day one starts. Once day one starts, like he will do we leave the two on-field umpires alone and they leave me alone to do my other things. And for me, the all-important one is to get the toss out of the way. Then we get back to what we are paid for, which is to do our work.
Perfect. Thank you, gentlemen. We might throw this to our two on-field colleagues first. Our umpires would like to know, when it comes to the big personalities in world cricket these days, and there's plenty of princesses and prima donnas across the cricketing world, how do you prepare to manage particularly those big name players and an attempt that they may make to pressure you into certain decisions?
It is not about the big players or big tournaments or big series. Actually, that's about the bat and ball. So we take the preparation accordingly, but there's a little bit of hype there. If teams like Australia and England, India, Australia, India, England, they play actually. So we have to be, a bit more careful about that. And it's not about the individual players, because when the players, as you said, mentioned the star players or big players, they are also aware of their behavior, that. So they behave accordingly. So they know how to respect the umpires. So we would like to know them as well. So that is, as we say, that we try to develop the rapport with the players, whoever big or not that big. So all our international players, we treat them like that way. So we try to be, maintain our same routine. And so that, as Ranjan mentioned, there's respect comes out of performance. That is what we concentrate more on that, rather than focusing on any individual players.
Yeah, I think Saikat makes a couple of good points there, but also we do know that there are possibly one or two guys that could push the boundaries a little bit more than others. So you are prepared for that, in the sense that, what we said, we'd rather step in 1 minute too early than 1 minute too late in the series. This is a high-profile series, so there's a lot on the line for both teams. And like I say, that, we've made a conscious effort that, we might be a little bit more, I wouldn't say stricter, but taking action slightly sooner than just sometimes maybe just letting things play out and then taking action, whatever the case may be. I think the important thing is that, we probably all have umpired, Australia and England a number of times. And the important thing is that I think it's important to get the players' respect as an umpire, because once you've sort of got their respect and they know basically how you manage the match, then it makes your life a lot more easier, more comfortable. And then you can then sort of maybe deal with those sort of players that are a little bit more tricky in a slightly different and better manner. And like I say, and the important thing is that they always will come and ask you questions. And I think the important thing is that when they come and they challenge you on something, it's always important to make sure that you're ready for that question. Okay, because you can sort of sense it coming your way. So when you give that information to that person, whatever the case may be, it's an honest, don't try to go and sort of say things just to appease them, okay, because they're challenging in a way. So like I said, for me, it's, just managing personalities. You want them to still be players first and foremost. They're the ones that are providing the entertainment at the end of the day for the viewership around the world. But like I say, it's important that you do go into matches saying that, this guy could be something, and he might have something against that person. So if he's batting, he's bowling, we just have to be a little bit more careful. Like I say, in the first test match, myself and Nitin, our pitch changeovers, we made sure that we stay a little bit longer on the pitch before we moved to square leg at the end of the over, just to make sure that backs weren't turned, because once sort of you turn your back, then all of a sudden something might flare up behind you. And sometimes when there's dead moments in the game, if there's a fall of a wicket or there's maybe sort of an interruption of some sorts, that's where you actually have to be a little bit more careful, because now this is when sometimes, they get into each other's spaces a little bit. So like I said, there's how you manage it and how we work together as a PCT and as two on-field umpires to make sure that we have that control. Because once you've got their respect and they trust you as an umpire, then it actually makes your umpiring a lot more comfortable.
I mean, just an example from the last test when English team was not happy with one of the caught behind decisions. And so the game awareness or game sense that we have on the field that, okay, now something can happen, because obviously the English team was a bit aggressive at that time. So we made a point that as soon as the over ends, we will quickly go towards the pitch, because there might be an altercation between the bowler or the captain or the batter. So this is what we we didn't speak on the radio with each other, but with our eye contact, we made sure that as soon as the over ends, we are there near the pitch. So that, and it happened basically like, I think it was Bryden Cars who had a word with Marnus, and Marnus was also replied. So important thing was that we both are together, and that's game awareness. And that is how we have learned from all these years of umpiring, that these are the situations where we need to show our presence. And fortunately for us, the situation was it died down very quickly, and there were no more issues in the game when it came to player behavior. But the reading of the game and the game awareness is very important, and it only comes with experience.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. I seem to get this question every time we have you guys here. I don't know why you guys keep waiting to ask the international guys, because there's plenty of guys in the room that can tell you about what it's like to have to overturn decisions after a player review, myself included. Jim, you're pretty lucky they didn't have DRS back in your day, weren't you? Is that because they didn't have DRS, or they were just too scared to? But I guess I'll throw to you guys to answer. So what's it like to have decisions overturned on or after a player review? And what processes do you have to move on from that decision?
Obviously, it's not a nice feeling, not the nice feeling on the field. But again, as I said, that from experience now, we are used to it, because we have made so many errors. And the important thing to keep in mind is that because of technology, our errors are getting rectified, and there is no harm for the game. The players don't crib. They don't, at the end of the match, they can't come and tell us that because of your incorrect decision, we lost the game or something like that. So in a way, technology is good, and we have really embraced it, the DRS. Obviously, it doesn't feel good when we have to overturn our decisions, but if we look at the bigger picture, for us, it's good for the game, it's good for the players. And as humans, we are bound to make errors. But if there is a system which can rectify those errors, then nothing better than that. So, but with our experience now, we are used to doing this. So it's just like counting balls. Do this now.
My wife says my favorite sign or signal is the windmill. Like Nitin said, I think you need to be realistic that in this profession that, technology has moved so far that basically it's no longer picking up maybe the poorer decisions, that, the very faint inside edges that batters don't even feel in stadiums, that you can't actually hear the noises, that they have been overturned. But like I say, I think, you're gonna, if you think that you're not going to make an error, then you actually crooking yourself, because basically we're all going to make errors. Like I said, at the end of the day, for me, is that with technology, I mean, if there is a challenge that's coming your way, and then Nitin will come to me, and you've seen in the first replay, you know, I'll say to him, oh, shit, that's missing the leg stump, you know what I mean? You know, so he'll say, you know, maybe he's clipping outside umpire school. No, I don't think so. But so when you're seeing that on the big screen, you're sort of preparing yourself that there's a possibility that this might be overturned. So then, you know, so if it happens to be overturned, you know, you're already in that sort of space to go and sort of put on a brave face and, you know, do whatever you need to do. I think the important thing sometimes when you have to overturn a decision, when you've got the sort of technology available to you, is to actually try to learn from it, you know, and say to yourself, why did I make that mistake? And I think I said to somebody last night in our other chat is that when we make errors, we go against our gut. Your gut tells you 95% what should be done. And then sometimes we don't go with our gut and then we make an error. Or, like I said, there's a distraction that comes into your space for whatever reason. And that then puts you under a little bit of pressure, and then you sort of go maybe one way or the other way. But I always, like I say, is, you know, accept that when you go into test match, yeah, you want to be error-free. However, don't focus on that, because if you put that pressure upon yourself, you're going to make mistakes. Okay, try to go out there with a clear picture, clear mind. Follow the ball. And like you said earlier, it's a ball against the bat. Don't focus who the bowler is, who the batter is. Try to win that ball as best you can. And if you happen to go and have to overturn something, well, it's part of the game. And like Nitin said, technology has brought the animosity out of the game from players. I'd hate to go and get a decision wrong in the first over, guy caught behind, he goes against a double 100 for 5 days. We're going to hear that. And that's going to cause shit throughout the whole match with regards to trying to manage these players, whatever. Now you get technology, it shows a little spike. You overturn your decision, give him out, he's out for naught. 2 balls later, these players have already forgotten about the decision. And the game is then basically played in a much better manner and better spirit. So technology is important in a way. Yeah, like I said, it's taken the game to a different dimension. It's put us under a lot more pressure because we're much more scrutinized now around the world with regards to things, you know, with regards to, I mean, last night we were at some place and there was a BB women's game, I think, on it, you know. You just see there's a decision of the game, it'll give it out or not out. Everybody's glued on that, you know, what's ball tracking going to say with regards to this, you know. But you have to accept that. That's what you've put yourself into. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's a job that we do in the best seat in the house, watching the best players around the world do their skill. So if you have to overturn a decision 2 or 3 or 4, whatever, you know, at the end of the day, I think we make better decisions than the ones we get wrong. And I think that's what you need to understand, that at this level, decision making is pretty much very, very sound amongst the group.
Thank you, Adrian. As Nitin mentioned, it is not always a good feeling, actually, you know, that you know that technology brings something good for the cricket. Actually, as Nitin also mentioned, this has taken the grudge of the players, of the umpires, because, you know, I'm not the first umpire, or neither of you who has made the mistakes in the cricket field, you know. So we have to accept it, because we are fighting with a technology which is not easy. You cannot beat the technology. But as we are quite experienced nowadays, because I know that there will be overturned decisions, but we give most of the focus, I mean, so that we do not make any more mistakes. I can recall that when I started international umpiring, there was no DRS in place, actually, probably not in our country until 2015. So last 10 years, we are quite habituated in that, because those days I feel so tensed even after I mean coming back from the game. You know, the players keep talking because of that and because of that. You could have given that out. So now, after the arrival of innovation of technology, now it depends on our skill. We know that we work with the millimeters. So this is not easy thing, but still we try our best. And if you go back, look at the stats, most of the times umpires are correct. You know that. So there's so many appeals, but most of the times you get it correct. I mean, in bad days we may not have some great decisions, but we are a bit habituated and we accept it, because we have to. Everybody is bound to make a mistake, but we try our best not to make any more. That is most important thing.
Brilliant, thank you guys. And yeah, I think even just sharing some of the more recent experience for some of our colleagues who I think they're both online tonight, for Kylie and for Terry, who made their debuts in the Women's Big Bash just recently. Some really good scenarios of being able to actually identify that the game moves on really, really quickly. The only person beating themselves up about an incorrect decision once it's overturned is probably the umpire themselves or the PCT. I've got my own opinion that I think it actually does make us better. But from your perspective, maybe Ranjan, as a match referee, do you think the technology that we have now makes the umpires better at their roles, particularly on field?
The answer to that is yes. You only focus on 2 or 3 decisions that may have gone wrong when you have had 60 appeals in a match. It's incredible. And technology actually has, in my view, doesn't prove that the umpires are bad. Technology actually proves how good they have been or how good they are. And when you work or umpire on pitches that do a lot, what the human eye and the ears can catch is limited, whereas technology is advancing by the day. From 50 frames per second, we've now gone to 300 frames. But unfortunately, the human being doesn't evolve that fast. So technology in that sense has, to my mind, shown how good they are. And also what technology does is over time, it'll also quietly weed off the good umpires from the not so good ones. So it helps in a process of assessment as well. Because when I started refereeing, and that goes back to a long time ago, where some umpires never ever said they made a mistake. I can guarantee you that. You have end of a 5-day test match and we have a debrief, and I'll throw it to, say, Nitin, and I'll say, Nitin, how do you think? I think it was a perfect game. I got 4 decisions which were really tough, and when I consider all that, perfect game. You know, I'm cutting a long story short. We, just to crack a joke, we had an umpire who umpired 70-odd test matches in the good old days, and we have in our panel a test player who played a match which he umpired as well, the other umpire. And he said one day, in a casual conversation, he said, I think over my career of 70 test matches, I would have made 6 to 7 errors. And that test player, who's now an umpire, just turned around and said, might have been in our match that you made all those 7 mistakes. All right. So what it does is, like, some of those umpires take cover in not being judged by a proper system, whereas technology certainly does. And the beauty of it is that the modern day umpires like Nathan and company and Saikat, they grew up with technology. So embracing technology isn't difficult. It's just like our kids. You give them an iPad and they've gone through the whole system before you look at the next button to press. So as times change, people evolve to embrace it. And if any umpire begins to fight technology, I think he's fighting a losing battle. So what we have here as a group do is you actually learn from technology because, like Adrian said, feedback is instant. When you get reviewed and he hopes like hell it's umpire's call, he actually then gauges what the ball is doing so that the next one, I mean, recently I did a test match in Pakistan where an umpire gave an LBW and it was overturned because the point of impact was that much outside the off stump playing a stroke. Over the 4 days, he had 4 decisions similar to that, and he got it all spot on. And when we had our debrief, he said, that gave me the clearest indicator as to what the ball is doing. So I'm giving you these little stories, not to like make it rosy or what, but really present to you the state of art as it is. We can't dodge it. And sometimes we go to countries where we don't have technology, and then you say, oh, what's going on here? because as they say, the clearest thing is that you really take the animosity off. And if people in your own team decide to blow those reviews because they're selfish, their teams will sort them out. So in my view, technology has come to stay. Cricket, you might think, is an old-fashioned sport, but cricket was one of the first sports to embrace technology, and we've moved on. I mean, something like soccer, they're still struggling to get the right medium. And what you have to understand is, if you take tennis, it is a point of impact, one point to another. In cricket, it's so much, you get so many other variables. That's why technology shows how good these guys have been. That's how I look at it as an umpire. And it's an amazing job that they do. And I mean, people say one of these days you will have a robot and all that. I don't think that'll ever happen. Because, or I should say, in today's world, you should never say never happen. But it'll take a while for that to take place, because umpire is an integral part of the sport. So when he gets to the test match level, like technology might be at a different level, but he would embrace it because he's seen the gradual evolution of that. So it's, to me, one of the more positive moves in cricket.
I think that sums it up perfectly. We're going to get towards the end of our time with you, gentlemen, and again, I want to thank you for taking the time out. I know you guys have got to go and watch that pink ball under lights. We can just, again, for Nitin's sake, I guess, not so much for ours. You know, don't worry about the fact that we want to sit in the outer and heckle you guys for maybe 4 or 5 days, but just for Nitin's sake, so he doesn't have such a long break before the third test. I'm going to finish off with some lighter questions, but probably one for the aspiring umpires in the room. Aside from knowledge of laws and playing conditions, which if you guys haven't worked out is something that we hammer home to you just about every session that we come to, what would be one ingredient you believe is essential for someone to make it to international level?
I'll say that trust your gut instinct, be confident on the field, because decision making is just a small part of our job, but how we project ourselves to the players, how we talk to them, the body language that we project on the field is one of, I think, that really gives the first impression to the players. Again, as I said, that errors are bound to happen, but even after that error, how you stand, how you talk to the players, will actually make a very positive impression on not only on the players, but all the stakeholders like the match referee, people who are watching the game, spectators. So I think having a good body language and self-confidence is a key ingredient to be a good umpire.
Yeah, just in short, I think just be true to yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. Be yourself. And like I say, you know, we're all good umpires, and you know, at the end of the day, trust your gut. And like I said to somebody, late Bob Woolmer as a cricket coach back in the 90s, and he just used the word case, C-A-S-E. And steal everything. And he said, well, take everything on board, see if it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, well, then just discard it. Okay, don't try to be somebody else. Be the best that you can be, and don't forget where you are and who you are. So be a good person as well, and I think people will see that. And once they see that, then you'll get their respect and trust much easier than trying to be somebody different.
Yeah, thank you, Nitin and Adrian. I think to be a good umpire, you have to be a believer. You know that it is. We have many times that we lose our confidence, but you know that it happens. It's part of our life. So you have to keep believing in yourself with your gut feelings, and if you want to be a go up, you know that I see the recent times that so many umpires, even at international level, is struggling with the laws and playing conditions, explanation of those. Because if you keep reading those, you'll find some other way of, you know, the interpretation of those laws and playing conditions. I said you have to keep reading on those. You have to be very conversant, and you have to be as you are. Actually, you can follow someone's, but you cannot, you should not, I mean, copy anyone else. So be within yourself, and keep walking the hard. So that's and there's no shortcuts way for becoming an umpire. You can be a star player, but if you want to be an umpire, it takes a lot of time. So you have to spend some time. There's no shortcut.
I think the important thing as well, I mean, when you're umpiring together, whether it's a PCT of 3 or 4, or whether it's just on a Saturday league cricket, that you need to be together. Okay, don't try to be in competition with the other person, because if you have that in your match, the players will pick it up quite quickly. They will start challenging, and then sort of that you both are going to have possibly poorer games. So, like I say, not everybody gels with everybody else, but there should be a form of respect to the person that you umpire, because that person's at the same level that you are, and that's the important aspect of it.
Again, I've got my own opinion on this one, but if you could add, change, or remove one law to make the game more simple for you guys to umpire, what would it be and why?
One law that we need to change or remove LBW.
Well, I would say the LBW on leg stump is the pitching is the one that's quite sort of a strange one. You know what I mean? That sometimes with technology, more than 50% of the ball actually has to be in line of leg stump. You know, and say 60-40 other way, your decision might be changed of pitching outside. So I'm just saying, I'm not sure why technology can't do it. Nitin tried to explain to me, but my technology is not as sharp as his. But that's something that, you know, something one can consider, because if we did a non-DRS match, you know, if 1% of the ball's pitching in line of leg stump, you're going to give it out. You know, no one's going to worry about it. But with technology, like I said, 50% of the ball has to be in line. So, yeah. So anyway.
I think the one thing that we can obviously look forward now is 90 overs in a day in a test match is not possible, because so many drinks break, batters changing gloves, changing equipments, plus the reviews that we are having nowadays. So it's impossible to get to 90 overs unless we are playing on rank turners where the first ball is bowled by a spinner. So in conditions like this, however fast the players play, it's next to impossible to get 90 overs in a day nowadays. So I think that is one thing that maybe the governing body has to look into. Maybe reduce it to maybe say 85 overs, 83, 84, whatever it is, but 90 overs in a day, especially when we are having test matches which are taking at a breathtaking pace, like the way England is batting, the way Travis Head is batting. So I don't think 90 overs in a day is achievable.
You got anything?
Not any particular, but you know, the cricket is a game that there's plenty of gray areas. You know, it is very difficult to cover with these laws, existing laws. You know, people talk about special ones as we have the DRS. You know, if the umpires give that out and the ball goes to the boundary, but why? We consider it as the out ball is dead, becomes dead. But I don't think that there's any other options. Personally, I don't feel that, because as soon as the ball, batsman is displeased, it should be a dead ball. Otherwise, if you keep giving the batters out, fielders will still be changing the ball. So that is not easy. So still there are some ways, because laws are evolving. Playing conditions keep changing, so governing bodies are there, but not anything in particular. But there's some gray areas. You cannot cover those things by the laws, you know. So you cannot pinpoint. Cricket is a different game.
And we'll finish on this one. It was a strange question that came through, certainly strangely worded, but what would be the most unusual appeal that you've had to adjudicate on in your career, if you had to pick one?
Well, we both were part of the timeout that happened in 2023 World Cup, and Matthews was given out, timed out.
Should be.
So I was a TV umpire, he was a fourth umpire. So I think that was the most unusual appeal that I've never seen any team appealing for a timed out. But unfortunately, we both were there, and we had to deal with the criticism. That's bias. So for me, that was the most weirdest of things that has happened. But again, if you look back, the equation between Bangladesh and Sri Lanka was not that great, and so that's why they were desperate to get wicket. And so, I mean, as he said, that we have to be sometimes prepared for the unexpected, and that was completely unexpected, and especially coming in a World Cup, 50-over World Cup game. So that was the most weirdest thing I've ever come across.
Yeah, well, like I said, I was the fourth umpire in Delhi there, having my Coke Zero with my legs up, watching cricket in the smog of Delhi, and thinking, well, that's probably my worst, this is the smog. And all of a sudden this comes up, and then all of a sudden I'm dealing with bloody coaches from Sri Lanka here, trying to explain what's going on and whatever. And, so my life became a little bit more hectic. But the funny incident about that is that then, so anyway, when Bangladesh now came to bat in the second innings, the third or fourth wicket fell. I think maybe the fourth or fifth wicket fell, and that batter took quite a bit of time to get to the crease. He made it by maybe 10 or 15 seconds. So it was relayed to me that, this guy was quite close, and, because if they'd timed out this way, they might don't want to time this guy out. So I went to the sort of Bangladeshi dugout and I said, guys, this batsman was just about 15 or 10 seconds shy of, he was just there in time. Otherwise, they could have appealed, he would have been out. So anyway, so they got the information. So I'm like sitting here in the dugout, and they over there, the Bangladeshis. The tunnel next minute, I just see number 7 come past with his pads on. Number 8 came past with his pads. Number 9, number 10, and I mean, they're all. The next 5 batters are all sitting in the dugout over there. So maybe it sort of worked its charm, whatever the case may be. So that was quite a funny incident. But anyway.
Not like that, but I can tell you a story. Shortly. In 2010 on 11, one of the West Indies A team, probably with the South Africa A team, visited Bangladesh. At that time, I was quite young. At that level, I did almost, 5, 10, 12 first-class games. So there was an appeal for huge appeal for LBW, but I didn't hear. Caught behind. I didn't hear anything. I said no. But the batsman started walking. Okay, so I had no other alternative. I had to raise my finger. So right after that, I called drinks, because it was within 5 minutes of drinks. So anyways, we came back after the drinks. So one of the player from the West is probably Darren Bravo. He put his hand on my shoulder. He started talking to me. How are you? I said, I'm fine, thank you. So how many first-class matches you have officiated so far? At that time, I said, 10, 12. He said, okay, quite a fair number of games. So good. So did you sleep well last night? I said, yes, I slept very well. Okay. So please keep your eyes and ear open, okay?
Ranjan, a few years around the circuit, your most unusual appeal that you've seen as part of the PCT?
For me, more than the appeals, we've seen some funny ones, and we've seen, the funniest in the recent past was a batsman hit up, and there was a loud appeal for caught behind, and the batsman walked off. He was past the 30-yard circle, and the umpire thought, I get a freebie here. He raised his finger, gave him out. So when a batsman walks, you let him walk. Then the replay showed that he hasn't even touched it. Right? So what happens is that in the log, he gets it as an error when he should have just kept quiet. So to me, more than a funny thing or not, it's about not trying to be too smart. Because if a batsman decides to walk, that's it, he's gone. Right? So when you have DRS, he could well have come inside 15 seconds and reviewed it. Then what do you do? So what I think is, don't cut corners. That's one of the things that I would suggest to it. But for me, some of the funniest things have been about safety and security stuff. One was the World Cup final, New Zealand, England. And we were told that there was a streaker ready to run on a female. And the police commander actually told me that it should be from really the left of where I am, and whether I could keep a watch as well. So I said, I don't get paid to keep a watch on someone trying to streak, but I certainly wouldn't mind turning a blind eye if they actually get through. But what happened was police was so sharp because they get paid for doing that. They're sponsored by various people. That lady could not even run 5 yards, and there were 3 huge cops who put a blanket around her. So that was a funny story, because it's just that how sharp people are. So you have funny things happening. I mean, the other thing is, I mean, player taunts that go on. I mean, it's not fair for me to share that, but some really funny ones. And that's what makes the life of a referee umpires interesting, even in the heat of battle, because there's always a place for humor. So don't, in your umpiring life, don't forget that important aspect of humor. If you can't laugh at yourself, I think it's going to be a lonely place. So Nathan, go in front of the mirror, practice laughing at yourself.
Don't have to. I just go in front of the mirror and
Guys, I just want you wrapping it up, is it?
Yes.
What I want to say on behalf of everyone before I do hand it over is we consider it an absolute pleasure and privilege to share our thoughts and experiences with you all. We want to say sorry for not being able to stay back because the boys have to go for a net, and that was not on our schedule. So Matthew and Nathan were very happy to accommodate 1 hour earlier. That shut a lot of people from coming here. But it's a real experience, and we believe that it is part of our responsibility to share that with you all. You all don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just sponge it off people who would gone there before. And it's not only just test umpires, it's your own. What you have in this room is a wealth of experience. Share it. Encourage one to each other to share those thoughts. Don't keep it here, because you might get run down by a bus, and then halfway through, to heaven or hell, you mustn't say, I should have done this or I shouldn't have done that. So please do share your thoughts and experiences with your colleagues. They are your only friends on the field. The players might say you're a great guy, but when it comes to decisions, they'll be at you. So once again, thank you for inviting us. Matthew, thanks for accommodating us, and wish you good luck and a Merry Christmas.
Before we finish, I'm not sure if you are all aware, but this gentleman's done over 750 matches as a referee. Holds the record for all 3 games, tests, one day and ODIs. Now, do you want to enlighten us how many games you've done in each?
One less than you.
400 ODIs.
That's right.
That was in 2024. So he's done more since. Over 200 tests and over 140 T20s.
He is the WG Grace of
I think on that note, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. All the best for the week ahead. Safe travels home for those finishing up after this test. And Nitin, apologies for having to keep you around if you finish early. So all the best for Adelaide as well.
Yes, thanks, man. Thank you.